Welcome to the Be Fantastic channel, where you will find many fantastic interviews with amazing people.
Visit the top world museums,
Incredible zoos,
beautiful national parks.
special events and much more.
These videos are designed to educate,
Inspire.
motivate, and entertain you.
We hope you will enjoy them.
Join the Be Fantastic philosophy.
Please subscribe.
Like and share.
Fantastic morning to everyone. It is Wednesday. Now this is interesting. I'm saying it's Wednesday, March 30th, 2022. But my phone, which is usually pretty accurate, is saying it's the 23rd. Now I do lose track of time quite a bit because my life is not regimented, let's say. But anyway, I'm going to go with March 30th. And it's the 724th day since I left California on a journey that's been quite exciting. I hope you've been following it. It's 1,500 videos later. It's been a journey. But yesterday, I watched a show on CNN, and the guest was David Beasley, and he's in charge of the World Food Program. Now, a lot of people don't watch television, so a lot of people don't learn a lot of things. And while I love movies, I also watch a lot of news lately, and I've been watching the war. And I tell you, it's quite disruptive, and it's the ultimate breaking of commitment number 2, being kind to others. But what did I learn yesterday that I wanted to share with you? Because as you know, this program is 99% positive, and I like to also entertain, and I like to make you laugh, and I like to make you learn, because I think we should know about things. Now, I got banned. I got to be careful what I say today, because I got banned for 3 weeks from YouTube. The first week, first time was 1 week. It's called a strike, and the second time was strike 2, which was for 2 weeks. So I have one more strike, and I'm banned forever. So I'm trying to be careful not to talk about COVID too much, not to give my opinions, because there's no free speech anymore. But what I did wanted to talk about is, when COVID started, nearly 2 years ago, because that's when I started my trek. A lot of people were dying from it, but more people died from starvation. I'm calling this episode Starvation. Around 10 million people, if my figures are correct, die every year from starvation. So you're looking at 20 million people died of starvation. According to David, in the World Food Program, they feed 125 million people a day that are starving. And mostly 80% of their work is in war-torn areas, Ethiopia, Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, Chad, and of course now Ukraine. Now here's the problem with Ukraine being under attack by Russia. They're the breadbasket of the world. Egypt gets 80% of its grain from Ukraine, and 20% of its corn. So what's happening in Ukraine? Nobody's planting right now because they're in the front lines fighting, or they're part of the 4 million that evacuated. Mostly it's just women and children that evacuated, but the men aren't out there planting. They're hiding in bomb shelters, or they're fighting the Russians. So that's going to be a problem that's going to occur, because if you don't plant, it doesn't grow, and you can't harvest. Ukraine fed 400 million people each year from their growing their crops. So sorry if I'm just jumping around with my crazy notes here, but so basically what they were saying is, let me see here, get my notes right. There's 80 million people in the world under acute starvation. And then COVID came along and increased it to 135 million. And now with the war, it's up to 276 million under acute starvation. Now, on the good news, he says there's enough food on the planet to feed everyone. And I'm really happy to hear that. Now it's getting the food to them, and how do we do that? 45 million people right now, today, are starving in 38 countries. He says it's 430 trillion. Oh yeah, the world accumulated there's $430 trillion in the world economy right now. Billionaires, as you might know, doubled their money during COVID. He's asking if they just gave a couple days of their earnings, we would solve the starvation problem. And you know, when they're feeding these poor people in these poor countries, it doesn't cost a whole lot. As an example, in Syria, it costs 50 cents a day to feed a Syrian. Now, when a Syrian gets kicked out of the country, as a lot of the Ukrainians will do, they migrate, and if they migrate to Berlin, in some cases they did, it's $70 a day to feed that same Syrian versus 50 cents in his own country. So the costs go way up with this migration that's happening. What else do I want to say here? It's just a sad state of affairs. So the crops aren't being planted. You know, I remember being starving once. And we all say, I'm starving when it's time for dinner. You know, we shouldn't use that word so lightly. But I was starving on my first travel around the world at 17. I was in Florida, and I'd do anything for work. So I would go to the churches and say, can I mow your lawn? Can I do something for a few dollars? And they said, no, we don't need it, but here is a coupon. And that coupon was for a McDonald's cheeseburger, fries, and a small Coke. And when you're starving, that is a gourmet meal par excellence. It was, I'll never forget how delicious it was. Because, you know, I may not have the greatest memory, but when it comes to food and it comes to smells, for some reason you just don't forget those kind of things. Because anyway, it's just one of our strong senses, I guess. But I wanted to just talk about starvation and how we can help. I'm going to relaunch a website. It was called montyslist.org. It was designed for veterans, where you can gift an unwanted item to a veteran. Well, I'm going to take that program that I developed, and I'm going to put it into sharmisfantastic.com. And, of course, it can be used in other countries. But what it's going to do, it's going to be great for Ramadan, because it's where you can gift a meal, gift some clothing. Because when I'm talking to a lot of these vendors out there, even people in the street, they're starving, and they need a new pair of shoes. One man's junk is another man's treasure. So I'm hoping to be able to launch that on sharmisfantastic.com and get that out and do some things during Ramadan, because it's a great month for giving. And last year was very rewarding to first discover it with my friend Ziad. We gave a lot of food to a lot of people, and being kind to others, commitment number 2, it's a fantastic thing. So be kind to yourself first and foremost. Be kind to others. Feed a stranger during Ramadan. It's great, but all the time is better. Billionaires, please. Do you really need $80 billion in your bank account? I mean, can you spare 5? I'm sure you can. And I'm sure you lost a lot of money too when things happen, but give your money to the World Food Program. They're doing a fantastic job. David, my hat's off to you. A job I don't envy, but it's rewarding when you can feed a lot of starving people. Starvation's not a pleasant way to die, but every day, you know, I think it's 30,000 people die every day, and we don't give it enough attention, and we should. So while my typical dissertations are all positive and upbeat, we'll take from this that we can help, you know, by being kind to others, and by giving. Have a fantastic day.